Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Friday, July 7th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. One real quick clarification point, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame for all these, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, ticker symbol MULN. Talked about this one yesterday and how it did 1 billion shares. And today, again, almost 2 billion shares. Absolutely gigantic volume, as you can see here. Although I will say now a very tricky chart to talk about, because there's a lot of perspective that goes into it. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within, 10 minutes, well, then from that point of view, the chart looks very, very bad for you because, needless to say, there was a huge pullback after it hit that area. With that being said, let's say you care about more so the bigger picture point of view. Well, even with the pullback here, you can see that it has lows here. Then you look at the previous lows. Then you look at the lows down here. And if you envision each of these as stair steps, and then look at this from, again, the bigger picture point of view, what do you have? Well, you still very clearly have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. And that's the name of the game. That's what a truly strong move is going to do. It's going to make progress. And again, in this situation, putting in that higher base there would still be a sign of progress. So I realize again that if you're a day trader and you bought up there, you don't care about these stair steps. But that's why I'm trying to illustrate this and make the distinction between a bigger picture and more of a day trading standpoint. So yes, today overall, a rough day with the move up and then the bigger pullback. But looking at the past few days, as you can see, the uptrend is still underway, putting in higher highs and higher lows, and that's what matters most. Next one, RIVN, and the uptrend continues, just continues to break out through these key levels. Headed into today, there was this area of resistance right here, but that has now been broken, and now this becomes a key level of support right here around $21.10, and that's just based on the foundational rule that when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So right there again, 21.10, the ideal level of support. Ideal meaning for say, Clay, what would make this chart look the absolute best moving forward? Definitely if the price can stay above there. With that being said, the price does drop below there, not the end of the world, because from an overarching standpoint, you do still have that purple line there, the 50-period moving average, keyword being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher. And as long as the price stays above that line, then from the overall standpoint, the trend is still fully in the bull's favor. In terms of levels of resistance, as I squeeze things down, you can see that it has been a very long time since the price has been up this high. So in some senses, essentially a blue sky breakout occurred today. But overall, like MULN, as long as this thing keeps on putting in those higher highs and higher lows, that's what matters most. Next one, CRBU, and I like this one because it's got a good solid pattern here. And as I draw this pattern in place, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to apply this as a secret discovery or anything like that. Let me change that to red to represent the resistance. A lot of people have drawn that trend line specifically right there. And when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can produce some very dynamic new movement. So while nothing is guaranteed, my point here is that it is plausible, it is valid to think that if the price curls back upward, gets to that area and breaks up through it, that break in and of itself could very well create additional buying pressure. Again, that's not guaranteed to happen, but that is certainly a very plausible outcome. So if you like these sorts of, we'll call them self-fulfilling prophecy type situations, you like stocks down below $10, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, TTOO, another one of these situations here, except now just offering it up to more so the penny stock players, as this one is trading down below 10 cents. But again, good little pattern here. So top of the pattern resistance right up there around 9.5 cents. And then bottom part of the pattern down here, you can see a nice little trend line right like that. So let me change that to green to represent more of the support part of the pattern. So we have this wedge pattern here. Maybe some people would call it a symmetrical triangle, ascending triangle. But point here being is you have a very clear level of resistance across the top. But at the same time, you do have the price pushing upwards slowly and steadily, which brings about the very valid question of, okay, well, who's ultimately going to win this battle? Are the bulls going to win with a break to the upside, or the bears going to win with a break to the downside? But that's always an exciting question to ask, and that's what watch lists are all about, finding unique, finding interesting situations, and not rushing out and randomly buying stuff, but watching it and seeing how it ultimately behaves. So keep an eye on this dynamic if you like to see these sorts of patterns, and especially if you like to play these penny stocks. Next one here, AMC, and overall, it's hanging in there. It's not looking as great as it could, but all things considered, I mean, it certainly could have looked a lot worse after today. So to give some credit where credit's due, very clear, nice little area of support has shown up down here at the $4.20 mark. Going back through the history of things, you can see the price has been down around this area a couple of times there, and then several times this morning, and it has held every single time. So good to see that. In terms of levels of resistance, two main levels stand out. First one being right there, that purple line, which is essentially right where the price got rejected, that being the 50-period moving average. But even if the price does break above there, next key level you'll want to watch very closely will be that pink line there, 200-period moving average, as that'll be a key dynamic to watch moving forward also. But overall, like I said, sideways movement today, which was good considering the past couple of days have been a pullback. And another interesting dynamic, check out the last 30 minutes of the day. Big volume there, so does this represent anything? Is this a leading indicator of something to come? We'll see what happens. Real quick, wanted to pause and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen here and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box, or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live online class. Next one, GENI. Very, very impressive movement today. Although looking like a pullback may be in store here for Friday. And I say that just because you had this big candle there with the upper shadow, and then that candle was followed by a red candle. Now, again, as I've said, there are no guarantees. So I'm not saying a pullback will for sure happen. And also, pullbacks are not the same as a reversal. Now, can a pullback turn into a reversal? Sure, but just because something's pulling back does not mean that it's automatically a reversal. So if you do like to play pullbacks, an interesting level here for me to keep an eye on that I would say right there around $6.85. And again, from the bigger picture point of view, even if the price were to do that, so comes down here, bounces around, and then before heading back up. I mean, think about what you still have from the bigger picture point of view. You'd still have a set of lows there, lows down there, and thinking back to the stair-steps, you'd still have stair-steps in the upwards direction. So that's why I reiterate, just because I think a pullback's coming, that doesn't mean anything bearish per se. Now, if the price just says, no, Clay, we're going to make you look stupid and we're going to keep going up, then so be it. The key level of resistance in that situation would be right up here at these highs, which sit right around $7.70 up at that area. So let me change that to red to represent resistance. But all in all, a lot of movement today, good solid volume. Next one here, PLTR, an absolutely crazy looking chart because as I said at the beginning, these candles represent 30 minutes. So check out the opening 30 minutes of the day, an absolute train wreck after the gap down. But check out then what happened after the opening 30 minutes. The price just slammed on the brakes and said, nope, now we're going to go back upwards. So a very crazy looking day, and one that you got to think has probably brought in quite a bit of eyeballs because of the nature of today and how kind of crazy it actually was. But don't get me wrong, this has been a nice move right here. But before you get too excited, keep in mind two key levels of resistance sitting right on top of each other that'll need to be broken. First one, that pink line right there, 200-period moving average. Second one, that purple line, the 50-period moving average. So again, don't get me wrong, that is a nice move upwards, but you're not quite out of the woods yet because you still got these potentially very big problem points right up around there. So no doubt about it. Very interesting chart, very powerful day after that 30 minutes. But like I said, there's still work that needs to be done. Next one, TSLA Tesla. And all things considered with today, not a terrible looking chart. And in fact, the price did ultimately get a nice little upward trend to it. Let me get that. There we go. So like I said, all things considered, not a bad day at all. You have the trend line there, and you have also what you now know as the 50-period moving average, that purple line there. And because the price is up above it, in this situation, that would be considered an area of support. So even though the price did pull back today from an overarching standpoint, still plenty of supports in its favor. And then just looking at all this from more so an overarching standpoint, resistance-wise, I think that level there could definitely play a role moving into Friday, if not early next week. So in all, actuality, pretty much just got a little wedge pattern here. But from the bigger picture point of view, the trend is still very clearly in the upwards direction. Just a bit of a pullback here, but with the price still above that purple line from an overarching standpoint, no major red flags, at least in my opinion. Next one here, CCL. Now, I definitely put this one in the wrong location within my watch list. I should have put it right after the PLTR because same general idea. Check out that opening 30 minutes, absolute train wreck. And then after that, price started to work itself up more and more. But there is still work that needs to be done. So think back to PLTR and how the price still needed to break up through those moving averages. In this situation, whoops, I didn't need that right there. Let's try that again. In this situation, the key level, I don't know why it's doing that. I'll just bring it down. There we go. Is going to be right here at the 1905 mark. So 1905 going to be that key level. So again, as I've reiterated, opening 30 minutes, great or terrible. But the rest of the day, very good, but there's still work that needs to be done. And, you know, the very popular stock right now, and one of these where, even if you want to call it those self-fulfilling prophecies, if the price can't get up to that level and push up through it, then I don't think anybody would be shocked really to see the price potentially head back up to those highs right there and retest them. Next one, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ. So if you believe the NASDAQ market is going to rise, this one will also rise. And overall, nice recovery late afternoon. But as I've said, and as has kind of become a theme now, there's still work that needs to be done. And this one, not as much work, because some of the other stocks, think about it, had to actually break above the 200 period moving average. But this one has already broken above it. So it's kind of a step ahead of some of these other charts we've looked at. But it still does and will need to deal with that purple line there, the 50 period moving average. But like I said, compared to some of the other ones, work needs to be done, but just not as much work that needs to be done. As far as levels of support are concerned, ideally, if the price can now stay up above that 200 period moving average, that would certainly be a good sign. But if the price does drop below there, then the next key area of support would be down there right around that $39.35 mark. But like I said, all things considered, given the big gap down, nice recovery here. Still work that needs to be done. But like I said, just not quite as much work as some of the other charts we've seen. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, like I said, if you enjoyed what you saw, then definitely go and get signed up for that free class. Like I said, it'll be next week, Thursday, July 13th. At 7 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely go get signed up for it, and I'll see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, please do two things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment down below. Those two things communicate to me that you enjoy, and as long as I know that you are enjoying, then I will continue to put out this sort of content. So like I said, go get signed up for that free class. Hit the like button, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.